Mira, son las banderillas de jugar a un juego que es de Stanley y vamos a probarlo a ver qué tal va. Vamos a hacer una nueva partida. No sé muy bien cómo va. Sé que me han dicho que hay como comentarista que te van diciendo, te va indicando cómo tienes que ir avanzando y el final del juego es dependiendo de lo que tú, si le vas haciendo caso o no.
This is the
Pues
story of a man named
me han dicho que esta
Stanley.
historia, pues eso, dependiendo si le haces caso o
Stanley
no,
worked for a company in a big
el
building
final será
where he
diferente.
was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427
Interesante.
and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling
Por un
him what
dedito,
buttons to push,
Ahí.
how long to push
Rapidez
them,
ante todo.
and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for
Bueno,
this
básicamente
job.
eso.
And Stanley was happy.
Stanley, pues.
And then
prácticamente
one day,
obedecía
something very
todas las cosas.
peculiar
O
happened.
sea, todo lo que le decía,
Something that would forever change Stanley.
lo hacía.
Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Supongo que sí será la primera orden. Pero voy a hacer un sonido, bajar aquí un poquito el audio. Porque si no se va a escuchar más que oye demasiado. Y no sé si... A ver... Voy a entrar, perfecto. Pues muy bien. Uy, no sé si es este. Sí, perfecto. Pues entonces habrá que salir. Mira, aprieto. Y cómo llegan a esos archivos, un poco difícil, ¿no? Vale. Puedo agachar. No puedo
All of his
saltar.
co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Esa será la puerta. ¿Por qué
Stanley
esa será la
decided to
puerta?
go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Me he perdido un memo. Tazas de café en el suelo. Interesante.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his
No
co-workers.
hay nadie. Pues ese perro del suelo. Aquí ha pasado algo raro, ¿eh? ¿Eh? Hola. Hola. Quiero apretar teclas, joder. ¡Ah! ¿He sido yo? Sí.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his
Puerta
left.
izquierda. Ya me está diciendo órdenes. Vamos por la puerta izquierda. Vamos a hacerle un poquito de caso porque tampoco me quiero volver loco.
Yet there was not a single person
¿Qué hicieron
here
las puertas?
either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Vamos a la oficina de la jefe. Pero se cierran solas, joder. ¿Qué ¿Qué coño?
Stanley
¡Ah!
stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Solo que puedo coger algo. Es que toma, aquí viertes una bomba rápido, te exploto todo esto.
There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet.
Pues sigo
No
mirando,
reason
cabrón, ¿qué
to
pasa?
still be here. It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Vamos para arriba, vamos a hacerle caso. Hola. Dame la paga, dame la paga.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life.
Uf,
Shocked,
venido al bueno, ¿eh?
unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
2845, pues no. Voy a poner 1843.
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
2845. Uy. No, ¿cómo se borra? No, da igual.
Stanley simply began 2845.
Está bien.
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley
sí, al
happened
azar,
to
claro que
input
sí.
the correct
Has
code
dicho que
by
no pasa
sheer
nada.
luck. Amazing. He
¿Qué
stepped into the
coño es
newly
esto?
opened passageway.
Interesting. Muchos cables, ¿eh? Me están poniendo la fibra óptica por aquí. No se ve una mierda. ¿Y esto qué es? What the fuck? Loading. Vamos a ver a dónde nos lleva este sensor ahora.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Escape. Y si escapamos un poquito, vamos a escapar a pequeños tesoros.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
What the fuck? ¿Una muerte? ¿En serio? ¿Qué hacemos? Vamos a seguir a ver qué pasa. Quiero morir, no quiero morir, no quiero morir, yo soy feliz. La 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 la.
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
Yo no quiero. Quiero seguir para adelante. La la la. ¿Me va a salir una rata salvaje o algo? ¿Me va a saltar al cuello? La la la. Escucho cosas raras.
At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Voy a morir y no veo más. ¿Me va a salir un bicho? Seguramente. Solo veo nubes. Solo veo nubes. ¿Qué coño es eso? ¿Qué coño es eso? ¿Pero qué coño es eso? Estoy cagado. La 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 la. La 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 la. Solo que no hay nada y caigo. Pues sí. Me cago en todo. Madre mía, ¿pero qué coño? What?
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no
No.
consequence
¿Qué es
whatsoever.
eso?
Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is.
¿Pero qué
Perhaps his death was of
coño
no
hace eso?
great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. So he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life.
Yo no muero, Yo no muero, yo me escapo seguro, No sabes tú. Salta, salta. ¡Esto no salta! ¡Esto no salta! ¡Ah! What the...
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated, as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Jodas. Pues no, lo sabía, joder. Qué puto. La la la. La la la. La la la. La la la. La la. Pero estoy muerto, qué coño.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to
¿Qué
accomplish?
coño? ¿Dónde estoy?
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same.
Esta oficina me mola más.
Do you see
¿O
now?
no?
Do you
¿Qué
see
es
that
esto?
Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Ah, que ya estaba muerto. Ajá. Interesante. Ajá. Oficina número 1, oficina número 2, oficina número 3. Ajá. 2. 3. 4. 5. 1. Vamos, ya están los créditos, ¿no? Ya estoy muerto. Pues nada. ¿Oficina? La la la. ¿Qué coño es esto? La la la. ¿Qué he de hacer? La la la. ¿Qué coño hago? Desde fuera. No sé qué tengo que hacer. No sé si me han dicho algo. Porque estaba siendo el primo y no me he enterado de nada. ¿Se ha escondido algo? Salida.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
A tomar por culo. ¿Qué coño?
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let time...
Dios. A tomar por culo. Creía que me ha explotado algo. Hola. Hola. Escape. Pues parece que hay que volver a comenzar de nuevo. Porque esto no avanza. Regresar a uno. Volver a comenzar la partida. La hostia que lo parió. Vamos, que si te equivocas en algo, se acabó el juego.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Sentido.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting
La,
room.
la, la,
Perhaps
la,
he had
la,
simply
la,
missed a
la,
memo.
la, la, la. Espera un
¿Y qué hay?
segundito.
Hace rato que no habla nadie, creo que está en África.
¿Vas, ¿vale?
Pasa, voy.
¿Ves?
Minecraft, venga, abre.
Ahora no, espérate un segundo. Espérate 10 minutos.
10 minutos. ¿Por qué?
Ahora.
Sound muted.
Pues sigamos viendo eso de ahí.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
A ver que se le caso al colega, ¿no? Porque si no... Estas que...
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Hope coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
¿Y no se puede guardar o algo? No, se puede guardar. Oh, mira, bonito. ¿Sensor? ¿En serio? No, aquí no me quiero otra vez. Sí, vamos otra vez. Llévame arriba, por favor. Temazo. Yeah. Mira cómo bailo. No tengo pies. ¿Por qué no tengo pies? ¿Por qué no está cantando? ¿En serio? Suerte. Aquí va a pasar algo. Más arriba, más arriba, más arriba, más arriba. ¿What? Y estoy en el mismo sitio. Qué interesante.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk.
Teclado.
What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret pin number, 28. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music.
Oh, sí. Sí, por favor. Esa música me calma.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Vamos allá. Para abajo. Loading. Esto no me suena a mí.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
¿Control mental? What? ¿Eso no es del X-Men?
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Cámaras.
Now
What?
the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where
Pero no hay
freedom meant nothing.
nadie. No habrá por ahí. Qué guapo, ¿tú? Está guapo, ¿sí?
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
¿Tengo que ir por aquí obligado o qué?
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it.
Ahora capaz
His
me lleva la
own
máquina
life
esa que-
in someone else's control?
Que me calla la cabeza,
Never.
¿eh?
It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions.
Feliz,
Happy
triste o contento.
or sad or
¿Qué coño?
content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Pues venga. Vamos a desmontar todo esto. ¿Cómo desmonto todo esto? ¿Dónde está el fuego? Aprende fuego y aparte. No sé qué es por aquí, puede ser. Aquí hay un botoncito. Vamos a apretarlo. Vamos a apretarlo. Apretarlo. No pasa nada. Son un poco sospechosos. Ajá, y te viene aquí, control disable. Pues nada. Quitamos el 1, 2. Solamente voy a repetir luego el 3 y el 4, ¿no? Posiblemente. ¿Dónde está el 3? Ese está el 5. ¿Dónde está el 3? Estoy con eso. Nada. ¿Dónde estás? Mira la que está escaldereta. Yo no sé si esto es así, pero yo lo hago. Algo ahora digo yo. El 4. Yo no sé si esto hace algo. Pero bueno. Y ahora apretamos el 5. Y no pasa nada. Pues qué interesante.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Pues on or off, on or off, off on, off on. ¿Sabes qué? Voy a dejarlo ahí y si me ponéis que apretar en comentarios, veis si lo aprieto. ¿Qué os parece? Vamos allá.